Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Africa Straight Talk. We are Africa's unapologetic podcast that dives deep into the African immigrant experience in a unique and straightforward way. My name is Kaboshi, and we truly appreciate your continued support for our podcast. Joining me today are my esteemed co-hosts, Emmanuel Nadeau, host of Africa Mix on KALW in San Francisco and curator of African Night, an event celebrating music and African diaspora conversations, and Kwesi Wilson, a communications studies professor at College of Alameda and the host of the podcast Telling Tall Stories. All right, let's get started. Today, we are honoring fathers, especially African men in the diaspora, navigating the complexities of raising children while co-parenting after divorce. We are talking fatherhood, culture, masculinity, and what it means to stay present even when the home is no longer together. But before we introduce our guest, let's check in with each other. What's going on, gentlemen? What's up, Kwesi? How's Ghana? We haven't talked to you since, oh God, last month, right?
Ghana is Ghanaian.
Ghana is
We're
Ghana.
still nothing changed. It's still in the same location. Nothing has
Uh-huh.
moved. People are
Really?
going about their business.
Okay.
They're not too happy that they may be on the list of what's the travel ban?
Uh-huh.
Travel ban from
Mm-hmm.
Trump
Yeah, so people are
administration.
not
Mm-hmm.
happy about that.
Yeah.
But what they are happy about though, well, the exchange rates. Ghana's uh, did
Mm.
something different this time around where they shored up gold reserves to back the city. And
Yes.
then
Mm-hmm.
they got a moratorium on IMF loan repayments. And so a couple of moves that they did really pushed up this, propped up the dollar, the city against the dollar.
Okay.
So for folks that are looking for dollars to buy stuff from outside, things are good for them.
Mm-hmm.
For folks
Mm-hmm.
like me who came outside thinking it was $1 to 16 cities,
Mm-hmm.
saw everything that I came to buy go up overnight.
Uh-huh.
Every day I would wake up and look at the exchange rate and it kept going down. And all
Oh
I
no.
saw was my cost going up. But for the nation, I think is a good thing. What we don't know is how long this is going to last. We know the real fundamentals will be having value added exports that would
Mm-hmm.
increase or bolster up our balance of trade,
Yeah.
right? So that we're not in such a deficit as we have been. So we'll see how long this lasts.
So let me ask you, you don't go alone. You take usually a group of people with you, and do tours. The group that you went with this time, have they been to Ghana before? If not, what were their thoughts before they went, and what are their thoughts now? Are their expectations or what they thought Ghana was before they left? Are they discovering new things? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think you're ahead of it because they're not here yet. But I tell you, their expectations
Oh,
are
mm-hmm.
all over the map now.
Yeah,
People view Ghana through the lens of content, online
yeah,
content now.
mm-hmm,
If
mm-hmm.
you haven't been there before, that's your composite image is from the content you're consuming about the place. And
Yes,
on
yes,
Instagram, people show the glamorous side, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Instagram and social media. So they're yet to see the real stuff and they go through shock sometimes when they get here. They'll
Yeah.
be here in July 24th to August
Okay,
7th.
okay.
Now, the
Oh,
other
okay.
thing that I wanted to play out because this is what's going on in Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
something happened at the embassy, the
Oh,
Ghana embassy.
what happened?
Um, so there was this guy at the Ghana embassy that was
Ghana
before you had
embassy where? In the United States or
Washington DC, Ghana
okay, yeah.
embassy in Washington DC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so there's been a delay on visa applications because the embassy
Mm-hmm.
was shut down for a couple of days,
Oh.
and they had a whole flush out of all the staff there to bring new staff there. And for me, I think it was a rash decision because they should have had a transitional team to make sure that work is handed. There's a good, smooth handover of work, right? So there was a disjoint there, and that caused there's some sort of interruption in the services that they provide them. What was to be a 3-week process ended up being 7 weeks. No one's answering emails.
Wow.
They don't know what's happening. The website was down for a while. And this was all because one person created his own company, attached it to the Ghana embassy, and he was delivering a courier services where they'll mail your passport back to you. So rather than fire that person, have a surgical addressing of the problem, they kind of did a whole chemotherapy, right? Killed everything.
What's happened to the government decision a few years ago that you get your visa when you get at the airport in Ghana? What's happened to that?
That was a temporary thing. They will still always have visa on arrival.
Yeah.
Now you have to know someone in Accra at the airport to really get your hands on the visa on arrival. What we should do is what is done in Egypt, Kenya, even Turkey. Turkey, you go online, you put your biographic information along with your
It's an
passport number, and then they give you the e-visa, right?
The e-visa, yeah.
Kenya does it. Kenya, $30, you go in.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that I heard the Ghanaian government did that in the past is to avoid, apparently there were too many money that were disappearing in the embassies. Yeah.
I think the reason why you're talking about the visa on arrival, right?
Yeah. No. The visa, taking visa in the country of for departure. Like Washington, D.C., for instance. I think the same thing happened in Nigeria, too. They closed some of the embassies or consulate because they say that people were not, they were not delivering the visa application money to the government.
But isn't there
that problem could easily be addressed when you have people show up at the airport in Ghana and then pay for the visa when they arrive.
Exactly, yeah.
That could easily be addressed in that way. Yeah. There's an inherent injury we do to ourselves as well doing this, right? For someone who takes people to Ghana, I could tell you that each person that goes there to Ghana at least spends $6,000 to go to Ghana.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
$6,000. The ticket alone is about $2,000. The $4,000 is for accommodation, and the $3,000 is for spending money when they're here, shopping and all that stuff. So let's say $4,000 shopping money from each visitor that comes to Ghana. That's transfer of wealth from one country to your country.
Yeah.
And that money has a multiplier effect when it gets on the ground. The hotel people get hire more workers because of demand. They can build more, create more jobs.
Yeah. It's a trickle-down effect. Yeah.
Right. But enough about me. Let's ask about. Yes, let's ask about you, Kaboshi. What's going on in your world?
Oh my God, Kwesi, I'm so glad you asked because we don't
normally ask.
Yeah, we normally ask about me. I wait, nothing. What happened in my life? Last weekend, I went to a Brews and Blues festival. Never been to one where they played blues. And it was
blues music.
Yeah, like blues, like Southern Mississippi.
Southern blues, Southern black blues.
Yeah, black blues. Yeah. Well, most of the musicians were white, but it's, blues. And it was really nice. It was a nice day. I hung out with a friend I haven't hung out in a while. And yeah, I mean, it was a nice break because work has just been a little too much and overwhelming. But it was really, really, really nice and beautiful. I enjoyed it. If you've watched Sinners, there's a blues player from Mississippi who made a cameo in the movie, and he was headlining at the festival in San Jose. So it was great to see him, live on stage, mingling with the crowd, and believe me, he can play. Like he strummed that guitar like it was the last thing on earth. Um, and yeah, that was my weekend. Nothing as exciting as Kwesi's in Ghana, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. Nado, you had a big event last week. How did that go?
Well, the event, yeah, I went to a modern ethnic fashion, which is
Yeah.
organized by this young woman from Ivory Coast. So she's been doing that now. This year was the 13th years
Is
celebration
that the lady
anniversary.
that was on your show when I came in one time?
Yes,
Yeah, she's
yes,
a
yes,
musician,
yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
yes, Philly. And
Kelly, yeah.
it was really successful. It was very well attended with the two terms San Francisco ex-mayor Willie Brown, who's
Oh
also, you
wow.
guys know Willie
Of
Brown, yeah?
course.
And the state
Mm-hmm.
California state treasurer Fiona Ma, she was
Oh, okay.
there.
Cool.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
really great. It was a great event, and we had a panel. One panel was about AI,
Mm-hmm.
artificial intelligence, and
Mm-hmm.
there were about 9 panelists, and I was so happy because there were about 3 or 4 brothers, African brothers from Ghana, from Nigeria, that are into this AI, and it was great. And then we had another panel over cultural diversity and adversity. How you take pain, turn it into positive things. It was great. It was great.
Oh,
We
cool.
had a great time.
That's great. Next year, I'll make sure I come
Oh yeah,
for
you
it.
shouldn't miss it.
Yeah.
Next year,
Yeah.
Kwesi, but I bet Kwesi you probably be gone again to Ghana, but I would love to come and MC with me. It was great. I had a
Oh,
great
cool.
time.
Nice. Awesome.
Hopefully I'll be around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Okay, moving on to the next segment because we have to bring in this guest of ours. In our previous episode, we featured Esther, an African mother who brought up her daughter in the US. And we had a great conversation about the importance of culture, community, navigating bias in schools, motherhood, etc. If you haven't listened to the conversation, that is episode 5. Please do so. But in the spirited and candid conversation we were having with Esther, she forgot to thank the village that helped raise her daughter back in Kenya and here in America. And I would like to take an opportunity to read the thank you that Esther sent me so that, all the people who helped her in her journey are all welcomed. So I'll go ahead and read it, and then Kwesi will introduce our guest. And I'm really looking forward to this show. So Esther's statement is as follows. I can't talk about support without honoring the people who've carried me along the way. Back home, my mother was my rock, caring for my daughter while I studied and supported me financially. My extended family, high school best friends, and a tight knit village made sure I never felt alone as a young mom. Leaving that behind to move to the US and leaving my daughter behind at first was one of the hardest things I've ever done. My cousin and my daughter's godmother helped ease that transition, and I am forever grateful. Here in the US, I found a new kind of village. My sister helped me get on my feet in California, and families like Aunt Abigail, Mama Franco, and the Gishaches welcomed me like their own. My best friend, Dr. Chris, and her family made sure I never spent a holiday alone and still include me to this day. And to the friends I've made along the way, including me, Kuboshi, thank you for being part of my growing village. I am standing here because of all of you, reminded that even far from home, community can still hold you. So that's Esther's statement. We want to thank Esther. If you haven't listened to that show again, please do
Yeah.
so. And now Kwesi, let's bring on your friend. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Right. Esther's account was powerful. I really enjoyed hers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
so is the account that we're about to hear today,
Oh God,
which
yes.
is Kweku Yeboah Kankam Jr. He's a Ghanaian who always represents the cultural values and traditions of Ghana wherever he goes. He is a proud father raising his son through three cultures and finding ways to tie all three together. For the past 17 years, he has worked in the vertical transportation industry, holding various roles in sales, business development, general management, and operations. He is currently the service operations manager for the Bay Area for his company. A Ghanaian man, came to America as an adult, married a Trinidadian, and had a child. He is now divorced and shares custody of the child who is 11 years old. Now, I have a question for him. I know that's not part of the questions, but I want to know specifically, Kweku. Welcome, welcome. But I want to know what the three cultures you speak of are, if you could identify them. Welcome to the show, Kweku.
Well, thank you for having me, guys, and I really appreciate the invite to be able to have this conversation with you guys. I listened to Esther's episode, and it was really powerful, as you said. So I'm looking forward to our conversation. So I wanted to make two quick corrections. My ex-wife is Panamanian, not Trinidadian, and my son is 9, and I have a bonus daughter that from her previous marriage who is also 18. So I have two kids, one biological, one that I'm glad and happy to be part of her life and helping raise her. So so the three cultures, to answer your question, obviously Ghanaian because I'm from Ghana. She's from Panama, and we obviously are raising our kid here in the United States. So we have a kid that identifies as Ghanaian, identifies as Panamanian, but he also, lives in the United States. So that is three different cultures, and trying to find a way to make sure he identifies with all of them. It's all tie all of it to get together. I won't say it's tricky, but I think you have to be like everything in life. If you're intentional about it, it makes it a little easier, and the kids actually enjoy knowing that they have a vast background, and he really enjoys it. And he always finds ways to talk about Ghana, his trips to Ghana, or the trips to Panama that he's had, and it makes for a really interesting way to raise a kid.
My apologies. I don't know how we came up with Trinidad. I don't know.
It's the Caribbean.
But I know she's Panamanian. I met her before. I don't
You
know
have met her
how.
before.
I didn't catch. I didn't catch the Trinidadian part.
Yeah.
My apologies for that. And
No problem.
the son. Yes, I didn't know the number, so the age.
Oh my
Because it's
God,
been a while.
Kwesi. Jeez.
Well, he's 9 years old and he's 5 feet tall, so there's no mistake. If you say he's 12, it's believable. He's almost 5 feet tall and he's only 9 years old, so he's a big kid.
And when you get to a certain age, our age now, there's not that much. 9, 10 years, 20 years. It feels like yesterday. All of them feel like yesterday to me.
Kwesi,
Because I remember when he was born, not too long ago. But
Kwesi,
anyway, carry on.
let's not make excuses.
Carry on. Kaboshi, I read the script you sent me, so I'm not, that's
Well,
your
that's
script.
what you sent me. So you know what? It's actually my fault. I should have clarified everything.
Okay.
Okay. So, Kweku, how long were you
Yes.
married?
We were married for almost 8 years.
Oh, okay. And how was the custody battle from your perspective? Because you said you're divorced.
Yes.
What did that look like for you? And do you think it was fair?
Yeah, so I was thinking about kind of preparing myself mentally for excuse me for this conversation, and I was like, I hope that this doesn't come off as a quote unquote boring conversation, because my journey is a little different. Unfortunately, I have a lot of I don't say a lot. I know a lot of people in my life right now who are going through a similar situation with divorce and custody battles and all that, and it's been pretty dragged out with other people, and some people I know have been talking about getting divorced years ago, and they're still not divorced because of asset battles, how to share custody about the kids and all that. With us, we took a very adult approach of we sat down and said, you know what, we've realized we got to a point in our relationship that with the things that we enjoyed doing together that brought us together, we just don't seem to do that well with each other anymore. We're just not, we just don't feel compatible anymore. So we decided to, it's time for us to go our separate ways. But we made sure we put our son's well-being as priority. So the custody battle did not exist. People always ask me, are you a single dad? And I always say, I'm not a single dad. I'm a single man now, but I have a very healthy co-parenting situation because we were adults about it. right? We talked, we sat down, we said, okay, what makes the most sense? Right now, he's young. We all know all of us have moms, and I'm 44 years old. I'm still a mama's boy, no matter what. So at the age that he is, we're like, it makes sense for him to stay with his mom right now, primarily, and then when he starts going to high school, for him to have a more of a male figure and impact on his life as he's transitioning to adulthood, adolescence into adulthood, he would then move in with me from high school on to he goes to college or military or whatever he does after that.
Oh.
We decided on that on our own. No court, nothing involved. Our entire divorce, we did not go to court at all. We
Well, it's
split.
good. It's good that you didn't use lawyer, because if you had used
Yes,
a lawyer, it's going to be dragging. I had the same.
exactly.
I had a similar situation when I divorced with my American wife. I mean, it was an amicable. It was very amicable. We just
Yes.
sat, like you said, and we drafted. Okay, this is okay. You have this. I have this. You keep the house and this and that, and
hmm
there were no animosity at all.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's how it needs to be. It really needs to be. I mean, just because the relationship did not work out does not mean that you have to now make it difficult for the one parent to see the child, make it more difficult. I mean, even the child support situation we went through. Nowadays you can Google anything, and we went on Google, we looked it up, independently. We're like, okay, based on living in California, we did an estimate 70 30% split of the custody. So right now, I pay child support, but the number that California gives you, we're like, okay, I mean, yes, it's affordable, but she's like, I don't need that much. I just need enough to be able to take care of him for food and buy him clothes here and there. So we actually reduced the number, which was funny because when we filed the paperwork, it got kicked back to us because they said the child support is not enough. So we had to go in and make an amendment, basically saying we know what the state requirement is, but we've agreed amongst ourselves that this is the number that we want to do with each other. So that actually delayed the process until, yeah. So it's just for me, it's crazy to say that it's a blessing because people are like, well, you're getting divorced. Like, yes, but because I've seen people who are going through very extreme divorce situations where tens of thousands of dollars are being spent on legal expenses and all that stuff that I was able to avoid and she was able to avoid because we decided we need to do what's best for our son, made the biggest difference. So, so today, like, we talk almost every week. We have a child together. I see my son every week. Part of the custody is every Wednesday during the school year. Every Wednesday, I pick him up from school. I have dinner with him. We do homework together. We hang out, and then I take him to his mom. And then I get him every other weekend.
That is beautiful.
So it's set up so I get to see him every week. So it makes it also a little bit easier on the kid as well because he doesn't go long periods without seeing his dad or without seeing his mom. So that has been a blessing in a way because we don't have that contentious, oh, I hate this man or I hate this woman situation. And people, when I tell my friends about it or people that I've met that, you start going out there and, I'm not dating, but it's like you meet people and why are you not with somebody, you're trying to explain to them what happened. And they don't believe that if you guys can be so good at divorce, why can't you guys make it work in marriage? So,
well, I wanted to talk about the community and support because we are not in Africa. In Africa, the community support is there. Your families are there, But are you getting any community support from your Ghanaian African community? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, yeah, I do have some good support, I would say. I mean, so I moved to the U.S. in 1995. So this year it will be 30 years since I've been in the United States, which is crazy to think of. I think like you guys said on the show with Esther, most of us have been in the diaspora longer than we've been back home. So for me, I went to high school here. I went to college here. I got my master's here all in the East Coast. Most of my family's in Virginia, which has a very vibrant and active Ghanaian community in the DMV area, right? And then I moved here 17 years ago for my job. Moved me out here, and I met people like Kwesi. I met one of my friends, Fifi. Kwesi and I both mutual friends with. So I have a nice little Ghanaian community here, but the Bay Area is a little spread out. I have people that. You have friends that live in Sacramento. I live in Livermore. So if your friend lives in San Jose, you have to really plan to try to get together to meet up. But so in terms of like the physical support, I need you to watch my kid and stuff like that. Maybe that's not as easy to always coordinate. but the conversations, or like in March, I hosted a Ghana Independence Day event here,
Right,
and
right.
Kwesi actually came for that, and there was a lot of Ghanaians that came for that, and it was really good. It was a really good event, a really good you know community of people coming together and celebrating Independence Day. We actually celebrated people's birthdays, mine being one of them in March.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my support I have really at this point, because I grew up on the East Coast and I have a lot of friends on the East Coast. A lot of it comes from people just calling and checking in and making
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're okay. Because
Yeah.
divorce, even when it's amicable and mutually agreeing to split, it's still difficult because at one point, and I'm not, I want to be respectful of my ex-wife. I'm not going to put too much of our business out there, but
Mhm.
we were at a point where we weren't both necessarily saying yes, let's get divorced. I was probably still more on let's try to keep working on this relationship, and she was at the point where she was done. So I went through my process, and I'm still going through it, where there's a little bit of pain, because you are thinking of this person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden that's cut off,
Yeah.
and now you have to start over, and you have to kind of figure out what life looks like now. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. At 44, I was like, I am probably done with having kids. But
Mhm.
now you're back out there, you're looking to possibly date again, and you're gonna meet somebody that's like, yeah, well, I don't, I want to have kids. So now you
All
have to
right.
change
Yeah.
your mindset.
Exactly.
You have to be
Yeah.
open to that again, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's just there's just those things that I'm now trying to, my new normal, so to speak, is what I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. And but the biggest thing is everything I do, it always ties back to my son. It's like, okay, how is this going to impact my son and my relationship with
Okay.
my son? So
Kweku,
Speaking.
I'm laughing.
Oh,
I'm laughing because I'm thinking. I say, okay, maybe you should marry. You should date a older woman who are past the age, who are past the age of making babies.
yeah, you know what? At this point, yeah, that's that's funny.
Define
Nado,
older.
Yes.
Nado, did you just make a recommendation for a sugar mama?
You know,
No.
right there. That right there. That part right there. But Kwesi,
Recommendation. He had a whole recommendation. You get a sugar mama. Okay.
Recommendation.
so
Kweku, okay, go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to so just to confirm that you're living in the Bay Area and
Yes.
your ex-wife is living in the East Coast.
No. Sorry, I said my immediate family, my biological family is in the East Coast. I live in Livermore. My ex-wife lives in Dublin. We're one city apart.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
and that again, that also goes to the conversations we had at the time that we decided to separate, was
Mm.
to make it easier to co-parent if it's possible. That because at that time we were already living together in Dublin. So I was like, find somewhere close enough so
Yeah.
that if she has to drop him off, you have to drop him off. It's not like she lives in San Jose, you live in
Yeah.
Livermore.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just makes it a
You have
little
to
more difficult.
pick him
So
up from school, all that
yeah,
stuff.
all that stuff. Yeah. So like when she travels, like she had a milestone birthday this year, so she's been traveling, and her mom is here to help take care of the kid as well. But if that wasn't the case, it's easy for me to just pick him up and just
Mm-hmm.
drop him at school, because his school is on my way to
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
makes life easier, and I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to, for both of us, trying to make it as easy on both parties involved here. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So growing
Now,
up, okay. So go ahead, Kwesi. Let me know.
can I jump in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Roshi?
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I'm being dramatic. Don't mind me. Um, co-parenting. Like I like the idea of how you all came together to like separate amicably, like divorce amicably and everything else. Because a person who pays a price for that contentious thing is a child, right?
Right.
And so it's just doing that for the child. I wanted to ask, is there also any sort of intentionality in modeling emotional vulnerability in healthy ways to your son and daughter too, because you have a daughter from her previous marriage, right?
Yeah. Yes.
How do you
Yes.
create space for them to openly express and speak about their emotions?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so we're all Africans here, and our culture does not typically, just Black people in general, are not raised as men to be emotionally just open and out there and show like the soft side of you, so to speak. And my daughter will always like, because I'm that person that when she was young, she would do something, and I would, if someone I'm proud of something she did, I would tear up, and so she would be like, that she kind of tell me, don't start that, don't cry, that kind of thing, because I just wanted her to be able to see that side of me that's like, vulnerable and open to being able to let her know that, it's okay to cry, it's okay to laugh, it's okay to be sad, all that stuff. So with my son in particular, when he's only 9 years old, and so we're really watching how this whole thing is going to possibly could affect his behavior. So far, we haven't seen anything. He's happy kid. He goes to both houses. He loves going to spending time with the mom. But I intentionally every time I have a kind of a cadence of every 2 weeks. I just sit down with him, and for as much as a 9 year old can express, I ask him, "How are you doing with mommy and daddy not being in the same house? Are you okay? You get sad sometimes?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get sad sometimes." But we talk every day on iPad. When I'm not with him, we have a FaceTime and we get together, and he knows, so he expects that call every day. And we get on we get on and we talk, and we just to see how his day is going. And obviously when he's with me, because I get him every other weekend, I try my best to plan something for us to do every other weekend, because I really want us to build, memories and lasting memories together. Like this past weekend, Kwesi, when you reached out, I was in New York, and for Father's Day, him and I went to New York so he's never been there before, and I had some childhood friends that live in New Jersey, and we had some events going on, so I was going to go out there for that anyway. So I was like, let's just make it a Father's Day weekend, and then
Oh,
one of
that's
my other friends
nice.
suggested, you know what, I'm going to bring my kid, so you should definitely bring your son, and we can make it. And so a couple of us brought our kids, and it was a fun weekend.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
nice.
so that I think the thing is, not taking it for granted, just because people can hide how they're really feeling, and kids are not the best at always expressing deep. Obviously, they're not going to be that great at expressing deep emotions or how they're
Yeah.
feeling. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I give him that space to kind of express how he's feeling, and I'm like, and I let him know it's okay if you feel sad sometimes because I'm not around, or if you're with me and you feel sad because mommy's not around. But that's part of the reason why we all both of us make it easy for you to call us and talk to us,
Mm-hmm.
and so that way you always feel like you can always reach us no matter what.
That's
I
great.
especially
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that you prompt him to talk,
Mm.
Yes,
because
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
without the prompts, that never gets initiated.
And
Hmm.
as Africans, especially the African male, the male child, the boy child, you're
Hmm.
brought up in a whole different way, right?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to show your emotion. You're not allowed to share. You're not allowed to be vulnerable, basically. And for you, I think, to allow your child to be vulnerable and to teach him this, it's great. It shows that there's a cultural shift, there's a cultural change, um, and you are making a deliberate effort to kind of stop what is considered old and archaic, and something
Hmm.
that should naturally, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
die,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can build a stronger person, who's
Yes.
more in line with themselves.
And my son he's a very, very touchy feely, emotional, wants to hug you all the
Mhm.
time. I had
Uh-huh.
Okay.
to stop. I had to tell him, like, okay, you're getting to the age where you cannot try to kiss daddy on the lips anymore, because you're
Yeah.
becoming a little yeah.
they're
you know but
gonna be
that's who
looking
he
at you
is.
funny.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, but that's who he is, and I want
Uh-huh.
him to be himself, and like, he's like the kid that, he will come in, like, he'll just randomly just give you a hug and want to
Mhm.
just give you a kiss, and like, like whenever I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do whatever it is, he just wants to
Yeah.
let you know that he loves you, and that his
Yeah.
way of
Right.
expressing himself
Right.
is
Mhm.
hugs and
Right.
kisses, right? So,
Mhm.
and we did not grow up that way. I don't remember.
Mhm.
Like, you guys, like, my dad is turning 80 this year, and the past 2 or 3
Mhm.
years, he started saying "I love you" when we get off the phone. And the
Mm-hmm.
first time it
Oh,
happened, it just felt really awkward, because like,
yeah.
You're
for
not
my
used to
first
it.
like 40 years of life, he really didn't say it.
I know.
So
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now you
Most of.
started saying it. So now we say it back. My mom always said it. My mom was always good
Mm.
at saying that, but my
Yeah.
dad
Mm-hmm.
was, he's a macho
Mhm.
Ghanaian man. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna tell you I
Mm-hmm.
love
Mm.
you. I love you
Yeah.
because I provide for you.
I,
That's how I love you,
Exactly. Exactly.
yes.
right? So,
They show you.
so
Mhm.
exactly. So for me, I'm just like, I want him to be himself, and I'm like, just express
Mm.
yourself, and I never, like, and I, I'm enjoying it because I saw it with my daughter. My daughter was the same way, very loving, and she still is very
Mhm.
loving. Don't get me wrong. It's just that she got to a point where she's like, okay, I don't want you to hug me and
Yeah.
give me kisses all the
Yeah.
time like I used to. She's 18 now, so
Yeah,
so I
the
know
body
at
gets
some
smaller.
point my son is also going to get to that point where he's like, I don't want you to, like right now, him and I are walking through the mall. He wants to hold my hand. That's going to change. So,
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Well,
right?
but in Africa we do that though.
Mhm.
Men hold hand
No,
and
no,
men
Yes.
dance together without
but
thinking about
Nado,
anything else. But here it's totally different.
Nado,
Yeah.
Nado,
Yes.
teenagers, when
Mhm.
they get
Yes.
to
Teenagers.
teenage years, even in Africa, they don't
Mhm.
Yeah.
want their parents holding their
Yeah.
hands. They want their
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
independence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I
Yeah. They
get
want.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're
They-
saying. Like, amongst themselves, they'll
Yeah.
yeah.
hold hands.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
they don't want their parents holding their hands
Mhm.
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
mall.
You're listening to Africa Straight Talk, your go-to place for African immigrant experience.
I wanted to talk about the cultural identity part of it because
Mhm.
we, I mean, if you don't know your culture, you lose. I mean, you lose your culture. That's it. Everything is gone. So, how are you passing your culture, language, food, etc. to your son?
Yeah, very, very, very good question. So let's start with language. So my son, when he was born, he had a condition called delayed speech. He did not speak like regularly for the first 2 years of his life, and we were really concerned about it. And long story short, I found out later that my family, actually parts of my family, has this condition where the kids don't speak for a while, but I didn't know that. And again, it goes back to, certain things are quote unquote taboo. They don't talk about in the family. So
Yes.
I did not
Yes.
know that. I have cousins now who are older, fully, talk normally and everything, but like they had a similar situation. So when my mom told me that, it kind of gave me some more assurance that, okay,
Context.
one day he's going to be fine too. So he's gone through like speech therapy. He's still going through speech therapy as we speak because there's still some letters and some words he cannot fully say.
Mhm.
And so it's been great, the change you see with speech therapy. And even when he started going to kindergarten and during COVID, we did some homeschooling back then. We were actually in Colorado for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And so all that has impacted him. So I say all that to say it made me, because he was not speaking earlier, and I knew that he's growing up here in the United States, where it's predominantly obviously going to be English. Both them, his mom and I, did not introduce him to language early. We just wanted him to at least be able to speak and understand English. We
Yeah.
found out later that it probably would have been beneficial for us to introduce him to that other languages like Spanish and Chi earlier, because it would have woken up
Yeah.
that part of his brain.
Yeah.
But we
Exactly.
did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm a sales and operations guy. His mom is IT. We don't know that. Somebody should have said that to us. We probably would have done it, because I really want my son to be able to speak my language, right? So so to help him with that, now that he's speaking more, I've bought my first Tree Words books that a friend of mine, who actually was just in town for a couple of events, she's Nigerian, and she started my first Tree Words, my first Swahili words, my first Igbo words.
Oh.
There's this series of books that she has. And so I bought the Tree ones. And then the other day I was actually just surfing the web, and I saw these flashcards that shows like, pictures of different things and what the word is in tree. So I'm at the point now where I want to start introducing him to that, because I want to start learning a few words, right? So he can actually be able to understand. And hopefully if it gets to a point where he can actually even be conversational with it, that would be great, because, we have a family that when we get together, we don't naturally, we start speaking tree. We don't, it doesn't even, it's just natural. We don't say, okay, now let's stop speaking English. It just automatically happens. And I want him to be able to be in those environments when we are hanging out as a family, for him not to feel like, he's an outsider, so to speak, because he doesn't speak the language.
Because that's one of the things that the slave master did. They forbade the African to speak their language.
Yeah.
So they can be controlled. Now, how about food?
Food. So food, I've been introducing him to, like this past weekend when we were before we got to New York, I was like, okay, you're going to hang out with my friends. These are my friends. Some of these friends that were there, I've known some of these people since kindergarten, since 1986. So I've known these people like 40 years almost. So I'm like, we're going to be eating some Ghanaian food. There's going to be some goat meat. There's going to be some fried yams. I'm like, I want you to try some. And he did. And he actually, we went to Ghana 3 years ago, and he ate some fried yams. So he was familiar with that one. That one, we put on his plate. He ate all of it. We gave him some jollof rice, and he was like, it's a little spicy. And he was a little spicy. But I was like, I want to test where he is with his spice level. He's nowhere close to where I want him to be. So I was like, okay, you don't have to eat the 12. I'll eat it. But yeah, I introduced him to, like, he's had goat meat, he's had like all the stuff that I would eat. I already told his mom, I'm like, I'm going to start introducing him gradually to that kind of stuff, because I want him to also be very comfortable. So he's had like our staple foods, like Kwesi knows these, like wache, jollof, our fried yams in Ghana. Like, I even had him try some goat soup, light soup when we were in New Jersey, and he actually liked it. So it's just like, I didn't again, it was a little spicy, so like I just gave a little taste, and he's like, he's like, it's good. So next time I make it, I'll make sure it's not as spicy so he can try it. So food is, I'm a foodie, so for me, I'm like, you cannot be my son and not be a foodie. You're gonna learn to eat it.
Ooh, okay.
No cheese macaroni.
For those
he eats those, yeah.
for those who don't know what wache is, wache is rice and peas.
Yes.
Oh.
So you see rice and peas in a Caribbean dish.
Yeah.
You know that is from the Hausa people.
Oh, okay.
The Hausas are the people who wache means beans. So if you go to Nigeria, the Hausas are called wache, beans wache. But
Okay,
in
that's
Ghana,
good to
it's
know.
rice and peas.
I'm with him on the spice level, and I've said it countless times. Even when Kwesi cooks, I'm like, yeah, just cut down on that spice. I don't understand why you put a whole farm of pepper in rice. What is the problem?
East Africans don't really like
What? No, I like spice.
No.
I like spice, but I'm not. I don't need to kill. I don't need to kill my taste buds. Come on now.
No,
But they say that the West African, I think Nigerian people are going to marry, are going to Kenya to marry Kenyan women. Did you hear that? You haven't heard that?
No, I didn't hear it. What did you?
Oh yes, they say that Nigerian men are going to Kenya to marry Kenyan women, and you know that Nigerian they eat a lot of pepper. Pepper soup.
Yeah, what can we like spice? Don't get me wrong, love it, but
you don't like the butt burn spice.
God.
You know the butt burn spice, the ones that burns coming out. That's the one we're talking about. If it doesn't burn coming out, it's not spicy. Okay? So
and the thing with my son is his mom she thinks too much black pepper is spicy, so she doesn't eat spice at all. Her family does to a certain extent. But one thing I learned being married into a Caribbean family, and I already knew this, but it became even more evident as we were together, is we as Ghanaians and Nigerians, we cook with the pepper from the start, right? So when the food is done, there's pepper in it. They cook with spices, and they have the pepper sauce on the side. So if you want it, then you add it to it, right? And so it's a little different. Like for us, like shito is a good example, Kwesi, where you can add it to it, if to add more spice to it. But so I try to, and there's so many times I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this today. I'm not gonna put too much spice in it, and then I'm like, oh man, she can't eat it because it's too much spice. But it's just how I'm used to cooking. So I had to try to censor myself as much as I can at times to make sure that the food isn't too peppery, so she can also obviously enjoy it.
So about language, going back to language,
yes,
I like the fact that you are teaching your child, your native language, because I'm Kenyan, and a lot of the Kenyan community here choose not to teach their children Swahili, or their native language, because they want to be able to have conversations without the children knowing what the conversation is all about.
That's
really?
They'll go out there and just spill everything, just out in the open. So, but that is, detrimental to the child in terms of a connection with the culture.
Yeah, I mean, again, moving when I first moved here in the '90s and being in Virginia, there was a lot of Ghanaians in the community that we grew up in, and even in Ghana, there was always when we were in school, you used to get penalized and used to get corporal punishment basically for speaking Tree in class when you supposedly speak English, right? So, and then when we came here, some people, you meet somebody that was like 18 years when they moved from Ghana to the US, and they tell me they don't speak Tree. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you ashamed of your language? Like, you think English somehow, you being able to speak English and trying to force yourself to have this, accent that doesn't sound African, make you feel like somehow it's a superior, you're a little superior than somebody who actually has an accent. Like, so for me, that was always important to me, that whenever I had kids, no matter who I had the kids with, that they learn enough of my language for me to be able to have a conversation with them. Because to me, it works the other way as well. If you take your kid to, say, a party, right? Let's say I come to your house and you're having a party and my kid is misbehaving and I want to check them real quick, I can do it in Tree without anybody around knowing what I just told him if he understands the language. If I do it in English and you understand it and now you guys react to it, now the kid is embarrassed because everybody's looking at him like, oh, you just got yelled at by your parent. So there's also that part of it for me where I'm like, there's also the ability for me and my kid to be able to communicate and have like our own little conversation when we're in public without, when there's not other Ghanaians around, where we can have it. Like I can tell him, you know, he might be like, want to say, Dad, this party is boring. But he can say it to me in Tree without offending the host, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of how I feel like there's that benefit to it as well. So for me, I'm very much against the idea of not teaching our kids how to our language, because I feel like it's one thing. Obviously, some of us, and like my son was born and raised. He was born in Fremont, California. He wasn't born in Ghana, but I want him to have as much of a Ghanaian connection as possible. And language is a huge way of doing it. And if we don't do that, then we basically are raising kids who are going to only identify as Americans ultimately because they speak the language, they grew up here. Going to Kenya or going to Ghana every once in a while does not that would also help. But I think speaking the language, even when they go back, will give them a certain level of authenticity and experience when they can actually interact with the locals, you know, in the language. And so for me, it's very important. I'm going to keep pushing that with him and make him comfortable saying it. And I think, you know, it's going to be a little uncomfortable at first. He's going to say some stuff incorrectly. He already has a speech, you know, he's already going through speech therapy. So you're adding this on top of that. He's gonna definitely struggle with it. But I want him to get to a point where at least he understands some of the basic language.
Well, what about fatherhood advice post divorce, and also what advice will you give to other African men navigating co-parenting far from home or family support?
Don't be contentious. Sit down.
I mean,
it out.
I mean, I think he summarized that. That to me is the goal. Is just like, you know, just keep the kids' well-being as the primary focus. Don't focus so much on the hurt that you're going through or disappointment or whatever you want to call it. You know, every divorce, the reasons for it is different. So my situation might make it a little easier in some ways for us to be going in the direction in which we're going, but ultimately just keep the kids' well-being as the key goal in everything you're doing.
The focal point.
And focus on that. Be very intentional, like to what Kwesi was saying. Prompt the kids, ask them questions, try to let them understand. You know, I think for me, especially for my kids, when we told the kids, we told them separately that we're separating and that we're going to be divorced. It was very important for them to understand that this has nothing. They are not the cause of this. Like nothing that they did is the reason as to why mommy and daddy are not going to be together, right? So making sure they understand that you'll still love them no matter what. My stepdaughter, you know, she's 18. She's an adult now. I don't talk to her as often as I obviously as I would when I was in the house, but we still have a relationship. You know, her and I were talking around, I think, Valentine's Day, and she was like, you know, I wish you would come around more so we can hang out, which is funny because prior to that, both her mom and I were like, we wish you would hang out with us more, because she was at that age where she was too cool to hang out, right? But now she's like, I wish you would come around. So I was talking to my ex-wife, and she was like, well, if Tony wants to hang out, then you need to make the time so you can hang out. So so I need to make sure that, you know, that the kids I still want to be part of their lives no matter what, whether we're separated or not. Doesn't change the fact that I still love both my kids and I want to be there for them, and I want to see them grow and become adults and have their own lives. So yeah, so my biggest advice to African men is, you know, be making the kids to focus, also being vulnerable as we talked about. Just be open to let the kids you know, feel comfortable enough to come talk to you about whatever it is that they're feeling as part of the separation, because right now we're only a year. We've only been, I mean, divorced or been separated now for almost a year now, but we don't know what the future holds. But I'm trying to set up the foundation now of them knowing that if there's ever a time where you're feeling a certain way about everything that's happened, I'm always here to be able to talk to you. I want to listen. I don't want to assume to know everything, because I mean, hopefully this is my one and only ever divorce, but I'm also learning as we go.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I want to be able to be that person that you can come to and feel like you can trust me with sharing your feelings and how things are going.
Make it drama free. Drama free. That's he said all of that to say make it drama free. Keep the drama away. Focus on the child. Oh. I
What?
have the last question.
You
Were you
do?
going
Can
to
I
jump
ask
on my
one?
last
Can
list?
I ask one quick one before?
Yes,
Um,
please.
so before Kwesi jumps on this one, um, so very excited. Therapy. Do you? A lot of Black African families
Oh,
in
that's a good one.
diaspora
Yes.
do not ascribe to therapy.
Hmm.
And something like divorce, really rocks everything that, if you grew up in a
It's a
certain
loss.
way,
It's trauma.
it's
Yeah.
it's trauma. Do you do you ascribe to therapy? Do you recommend therapy? Did you go to therapy yourself?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. Very, very good question. And yes, I ascribe to therapy. I 100% recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I work for a company that actually provides you X amount of free therapy sessions. So I've taken
Mm-hmm.
advantage of it.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
And it's important that we, as African men, Black men in particular, are more open about talking about that because yes, some of these things when it happens, something you think you can handle it, and then when you start, like my mom
Mm-hmm.
noticed that I was acting a lot more because I'm not an angry person by nature. I'm pretty easygoing overall, but my mom noticed that I was getting a little short and a little easily annoyed by certain things since the
Mm-hmm.
divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she shared with me that one of my uncles went through a very similar situation where you know they were with somebody and they was hoping to be with this person for a long time and it didn't work out and they went through a pretty rough patch and this was back in the early 90s and they had to go through therapy and I was
Mm-hmm.
like uncle went through therapy in the 90s. Wow, that's like
I
that was
love it.
very very hip of him because back then nobody
Mm-hmm.
talked about that and nowadays I feel like mental health is such an open topic. People talk more openly about it and I'm
Mm-hmm.
very comfortable letting people know, yeah, because of the trauma, yes, there's definitely trauma that's happened, and you need to look at it that way. You need to seek help, and you need to get some like an unbiased, person that can sit down with you and talk you through, what you're going through, and kind of give you some pointers on what you can do to try to help cope and try to transition to what your new, your new life looks like. So 100% recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
100% recommend it. Because you look at it, even in some of these sessions, it's like maybe $100, $150 a session, and people are like, I mean, I'm not going to say that's not expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, if you look at the things we
The
spend
mental
money
health.
on,
The mental
Mm-hmm.
health is.
That's
is
true.
mental is 150 not
Mhm.
worth your mental health and your peace of mind? For
That's
me, it
very
is.
true.
So I'm willing to do
Mm-hmm.
it.
And your growth, your personal growth.
and your,
Yeah.
and your personal
Mm-hmm.
growth. Yeah, because you don't want to carry the thing is when you go through these things, it unveils, it lets you see some things about yourself that you didn't even know.
No.
It's
Yeah.
important to know that
Mm-hmm.
because if you're planning to go into another relationship, you don't want to carry some of those things into a new
Yes.
relationship.
In a
You want to be
relationship.
Absolutely.
able to
Yeah.
know, be aware of the things, some of the gaps or some of the blind spots that you may have, and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you clean those up, and then that way you go into a new relationship a much better man and a much better partner for whoever it is you're going to be with
Also
next. So
review childhood wounds.
Mm-hmm.
You
absolutely,
may
Yeah.
not be
Yeah.
aware
absolutely,
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Even as we were going through, because we went through marriage counseling as well, and
Mm-hmm.
before we even got to the point where we are now, and there was things that came up about both our childhoods that we had never talked about to each other, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we don't realize the things that happened to you when you were 6 7 years old that triggers stuff later
Mm-hmm.
on in life as an
Mm-hmm.
adult.
Early life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
so it's good to
Mm-hmm.
go through that, and I think I wish that we would promote that more and speak more openly about it. But because there's a negative stigma attached to going to therapy, is like, oh, you're weak or you're crazy or whatever it is. But for me, I
Yeah.
don't care. I think it's more manly to be able to say, hey, I need help, than to say
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to do it by
Stigma.
myself and then struggle through it.
Stigma
That's
is
true.
the biggest elephant in the room
Oh yeah.
that needs to
Oh
be
yeah.
moved out
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to mental health. And speaking
Absolutely.
of recommendations, I know Nado tried
Kwesi.
to recommend you to go for a sugar mama, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
the bonus question is, if you're dating now, if you got your sugar mama in mind, right, or whoever,
Or
what
not.
does that look like after divorce? What does sugar mama look like after divorce? Um,
Well,
and
oh
have you
gosh.
introduced your son? Are you dating now? Are you
Yeah.
back
Are
to
you
date?
dating?
I know you
Actually.
mentioned you, you asked like you're interested, Kaboshi. The way you asked,
Hey, I'm
are you
single. Why
dating
the hell
actually?
not?
Hey, that guy,
Why are you
that
trying to
guy.
stop me? Hmm?
Oh, people
Why,
are
Kwesi?
marking in this
What?
podcast. People are
What?
spitting game on this podcast. Spitting game, shooting their shots behind,
Oh, that.
shooting their shots behind Zencaster, right?
Zenka.
Hey,
Uh huh.
the one thing I learned as in
Mm-hmm.
sales for 15 years is if you don't ask, you're not gonna get the
Yep.
Yeah,
sale. So
that's
you have to
just
Yep.
ask. So
closed mouths don't get
Exactly.
fed.
husband don't
That.
get
Co-
fed.
There you
Exactly,
go.
exactly. But
And
to answer your
Kaboshi,
question,
Yeah.
Kaboshi
hmm
has a
Mm-hmm.
mouth wide open.
Come on, Kwesi. You know what, Kwesi? I'm out.
Yes.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with
oh my
you. I'm done
gosh,
with you.
that is hilarious. Um, so
Anyway,
to
Yeah.
yeah, so to answer your question, I have not started dating. I think I wanted to give myself that time to heal and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and and and, and try to make sure that again I don't carry some of the wounds of
Mm.
and some even I would say even some of my potential bad practices that I may have had in the first relationship. I don't want to carry those into it. So doing the
To the
therapy
next
and
one,
stuff is
yeah,
going to help,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then even more again, like I said before, everything comes back to my son, and I'm not
Mm.
trying to have him meet a bunch of women that I'm dating because
Right,
so
right,
he
right, right.
doesn't meet. Everybody if I'm hanging out with a friend who happens to be female, I always do it on the weekends that I don't have
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
him
Him,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't
yeah,
want that
yeah,
confusion, right? So,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but because you were here in March, right? There was a lot of female friends who were here, and I
Mm-hmm.
always introduce them to like meet auntie this. You know how our culture, everybody's your auntie, everybody's your
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
uncle. So,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
so and
Uh-huh.
these are friends of mine. These are the community I'm talking about that are providing support for me
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
locally or whatever. So even when we were in New York, he met some of my friends and some of them some female friends I've known for again like 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not dating anybody yet. Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring things out. And there's might be somebody that I'm more leaning towards right now, but but again, I need to make sure that I'm ready for that level
Yeah.
of
Without getting into
commitment
details,
again.
could you say if it's a sugar
They,
mama?
they're not a sugar mama. No, 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 no. They're not a
And
sugar
you know
mama.
what? I appreciate that you're taking you're taking a very deliberate effort to, take a step back.
Yeah,
Because in my dating world, have met men who are freshly divorced and are looking to jump into a relationship. And my question to them is, are you emotionally ready for it? Because I don't think so. You're still holding on to
No, they don't
trauma. You're
want the
still,
loneliness. They don't want the loneliness.
yeah.
yeah,
Loneliness is
but
hard. So yeah,
it,
I
it
get it.
is hard. It is hard, and I get that. But um, it's just it's not right. It's not fair for everyone in that relationship
Mm-hmm.
No,
at that
no.
time. So I do appreciate that you are, taking a step back and
Intentional,
then and
intentional,
enjoying your
yeah.
single life. I want someone who's just divorced, even if they've been married for 2-3 years, to enjoy that freedom for a little bit before you get into it.
Yeah,
It's a
They
healing
find
yeah,
it's
and
process.
time to find yourself again. You know,
Mhm.
yeah,
your
yeah,
Yeah.
identity
yeah,
gets wrapped up with that of another,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
Mhm.
now you have to
Mhm.
But
find what you like.
I've been very honest with any woman that I've met.
Mhm.
Even my poor mom. I'm gonna share this story real quick.
Yeah.
She was like, when you're ready, I have this girl. I forget where the girl lived, and I was like, well, mom. She's like, I want to introduce you. And I'm like, mom, right now, any woman that you put in my path, I'm probably gonna embarrass you. And she's like, why? Like because it will probably just be about sex, and that will be it. And her
Mhm.
mouth was open, and I'm like, mom, I'm old enough where I feel like I can tell you the truth, and I'm not gonna lie to you and try to,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know, prematurely get into a relationship with somebody that you're recommending because, oh, this is my son and he's a good guy, and then I end up being the bad
And
guy
then
because
you're not ready
so
emotionally.
yeah, so I'm not ready. So I'm like, don't introduce it. I'm like, when I'm ready, I'll let you know. And that's and personally, I don't want my mom hooking me up, but
Yeah,
at
that's
the end
true.
of the
That's
Pop
day,
the
because
balloon. Pop the balloon.
yeah.
Mother's version.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing is like being very honest and truthful with everybody, every
Mm-hmm.
woman that I've interacted with in the past years. I'm not looking to settle down right now. It's more of just just if we're vibing and we're kicking it, whatever, that's fine. But I'm not gonna tell you, oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you and date you and like that's not. I'm not saying that it may not lead to that eventually when I'm ready for that kind of relationship, but
Yeah.
for me to lie to somebody is just not the way I am. So for me, it's
Mm-hmm.
just I'm very honest and truthful about it.
Kwaku Yebua, thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you coming over here and telling your story. And we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. This was really, really great. And Kwesi, thank you for extending the invite to begin with. But I really enjoyed it. So thank you. You guys are doing a great job here. So keep it going. I love it.
Kwabosh, you're going to have to conclude
We
now.
have to conclude it because Nado has cracked the whip.
No, not that. I don't have no dinner to be.
There's no dinner right now, huh?
No dinner.
All right.
But
All right, we're going to conclude this. So, we've heard today that fatherhood doesn't have one shape or script. African dads in the diaspora are showing up, evolving, and breaking generational patterns. To every diasporan father co-parenting with love, patience, and intention, we see you, we honor you, and your sons and daughters are watching. Thank you for doing the work. This has been Africa Straight Talk. Your hosts, Kaboshi, along with Emmanuel Nadeau and Kwesi Wilson. Truly appreciate your support. Reach out. We'd love to hear your thoughts and keep the conversation going. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast by searching Africa Straight Talk. And of course, spread the word, tell a friend or 10 about us. Interested in sponsoring our podcast or being a guest on our show? Email us africastraighttalk@gmail.com. Until next time, Mzenado.
thank you for listening to this episode. We invite you to check back here for our next one. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and love one another.